Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello everybody. It's the Power Recapper. DJ Dave Neal here, coming to you live on a Tuesday morning. And we have our final possible update, never say never, of the Chatty Broads, aka Chatty Frauds, recap scandal. Now listen, I will share with you guys what Ref Dave has to say about all this as soon as we listen to their apology. And I will just give you my premise to what I'm about to say is that I think their channel is held to unbearably high standards and that they're trying the best with the information they have. Oh, Dave, pick a side. What are you, from Switzerland? Maybe I am. Maybe I like chocolate and a good coffee and some lederhosens. Is that Switzerland? Who knows? Don't cancel me for it. Oh, Dave, he thinks all the Europeans are the same. I don't know. All right, let's get into it. So if you haven't followed, we're going to play a little bit of their audio. This is the fifth of a 5-part series that we have going on here. Fans felt duped. Becca liked this tweet. Sensitive haters, I had fun. F all these broke-a lames going off about their $10. And then they said the fans will be refunded. And then they responded to backlash. And then here we are. We'll get into the backlash. Speaking of broke-a lames, I would just want to shout out my Patreon. 220 subscribers are watching the Patreon now. Thank you guys so much for literally being really excellent as far as support goes. And again, so many people support that aren't Patreon members. We had a $200 donation this week. I'm not going to stop speaking about all of the kind and generous people that have been a part of our channel. I am open to receive and abundance. By all means, take care of yourself first, okay? Take care of yourself first. I'm okay. I don't need your money. I appreciate your time, and I am so indebted for your support. So thank you all so much. Now, with support comes critique sometimes. Sometimes people, they invest years into a channel, and they want to make sure that that channel is living up to certain standards. But as we're learning in 2022, there is insatiable quenching of thirst for perfection that no righteous person could ever live up to. Let's hear what they have to say. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention what the scandal is. What is the scandal anyway? People were upset that they did a live stream event, which they initially said they wanted to do, and then they couldn't do it, so they uploaded it, and it wasn't live. It was live to tape, which is kind of like watching 2.5 Men. They're not live, but they filmed it live. You know what I mean? Or Saturday Night Live is live, unless you're on the West Coast, in which it's a taped, previously live performance there. Semantics, linguistics, I don't know the difference. Okay, let's get into it. Here's what they have to say.
Yeah, we felt like it was important to kind of like clear the air and clarify some things. And we felt like the best way to do that was just chatting it out as we do on the pod.
Yes, there are some things to discuss.
And this is why it's good to own your own platform, because they can come out here and they can clarify what they meant.
One, I think there probably are a lot of people listening right now who are really upset. And number two, I think there are a lot of people listening right now who have no idea what's going on. They're like, what is this episode about?
And this is the problem they face. Even though there might be several hundred people that are upset on Reddit, if they have an audience of 30,000, there could be a large segment of their audience that doesn't even know what this is. So why draw attention to it?
I don't understand what's happening. So I think what Becca and I really want to do is just be extremely forthcoming and just have a really straightforward episode about like, these are just the facts of what went down, what has been going down, all of that. But we're just going to shoot it completely straight here.
Straight shooters.
But there are just straight up like facts that can't really be refuted. And on stuff on that we've said and stuff that, you know, our listeners have said. So, yeah, I think we just kind of want to like chat through all that and like clarify, because I mean, it's always kind of hard to discern, like, and this is a strange thing about navigating this whole world is like, you're like, do we, and we sort of talked about this before, like, do we do a whole thing and talk about this.
The idea being, do I bend the knee to the audience, or do I stay authentic to who I am and what I mean? You know, and that's what's hard when you're trying to be impeccable with your word, is like, be okay and be quick to apologize if you do feel sorry, and clarify where you need to clarify.
Or like, do a majority of people not know what's going on and don't care? And like, is it not even worth making it a thing by like addressing anything on the pod?
And I'll just say this is what audiences need to understand. Like, I'm sure no matter what they say, every episode they get hate from somebody. I get critiqued on everything I say, and I talk over an hour a day for you guys. And some things I say, might come off like some have said. I mean, the number one thing is I'm being told I'm misogynistic. You get that no matter what video you make. Well, today we're going to report on the Pope, the Catholic. Hey, leave your misogyny at home. I don't even know what I did. Your hair, it's the way your hair turns back is a microaggression. I understand that, but let's just, you know what I mean? Let's not dilute terms.
Cast. And I think that's always really difficult to navigate. But we felt like, I mean, I know for me, kind of the biggest thing is there's some like pretty serious, like, I don't know, some big like accusations, I guess, that I felt like uncomfortable with letting that kind of thing float around, because it's sort of has to do with like our integrity. And then there's also some things that I think deserve an apology.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So yeah, two things can be right. You can apologize for what you did wrong, and you can also not be okay with getting essentially death threats, which is some of the comments that they received. Audiences, to an extent, are unhinged. Not everybody, but like my channel, if I get 100,000 views in a day, I might get 15 messages that sound like the worst things you've ever heard. Now, that doesn't mean 985 or whatever, 999,985 people don't like what I do. There's just a mixture. But, as far as rude and angry messages go, somehow they just amplify them.
Our end that I think are also good to just clear the air on.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I mean, before we get into that, we do have, like I said,
all right, so they're going to clear the air, and you're just going to have to let me kind of do what I got to do to jump around here. If you guys want to watch the full thing, I don't want to say I recommend it, but it is interesting. Is it interesting enough to waste your time doing it? I don't know, but I'm going to do my best to cover the Spark Notes for all of those people that were born in the 80s and know what Spark Notes are. That's before we had internet, and we had to buy this yellow book, and that helped us cheat. And it got us to where we are today as Power Recappers.
It really wasn't. And I will say right off the top, this was a huge mistake, and I will personally never make this mistake again. It was probably about literally a week and a half ago, like 10 days ago, when we were like, you know what? Let's try to do that. Us personally, I don't think we said it on the pod yet. We were like, let's try to do.
No, we did. We started throwing it out in the pod, which is, by the way, another mistake that I'm like, I'm not going to start. Yeah, it's so if when the broads are listening and we're going, we think we're going to do this live show, and we're just spitballing instead of just waiting until we know for sure exactly what it's going to look like. Yeah.
Here's the other thing.
So Becca tries to sort of explain herself, and Jess is not letting her, in the sense that Jess is making sure they take full ownership. No, we said it. We were spitballing. And this is the thing. I think people need, I'll get comments from people being like, Dave, I can't believe what you said. And I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I make so much content. And people, that might sound reckless, but like I'm not in a hearing right now to be the next Supreme Court justice. I'm sorry, my channel is not being held to the standard of a Supreme Court justice. I will try my best to be impeccable with my word, but if I go on some tirade or some rant or whatever, I don't. So when people say like, I'm so offended by what you said, I go, I don't even know where to begin. What are you talking about? I have no idea. So spitballing is what they did. They spitballed that they'll do a live show, then they couldn't do the live show, and they probably forgot that they had originally pitched it as a live show.
We had not talked with like our network or the third party platform yet that we were going to be doing the show with. So yeah, again, we're kind of like, okay, this is our thought. Like, okay, we got to start talking about it now and promoting now, because if we're going to do it before I have to leave the country on the 20th, okay, we got to start getting promo out. And
it's kind of like when we tell everybody that we're going to that merch is coming, and then cut to like 6 months later. The fact of the matter is, one of the things I'm absolutely learning is that like you have to be careful what you throw out to people who are like supportive and excited to be participating in the show.
Listen, they're so apologetic here that they're so apologetic that they throw things out that they can't follow through with. It's like, listen, you're trying your best. This is a single mom. I don't know what Jess's situation, not a single mom, but young mom, I don't know what Jess's situation is. They're trying their best. They have other jobs. They have laundry to do. They can't follow through on every promise. You know what I mean? We are just unbearably so judgmental. But I do understand that they were caught in a little snafu there. They're going to address it even farther.
Conversation is sort of what it feels like. But also like, so yes, we did see it as a added revenue stream, but in the exact same way we did with the live show before. And trust me, we will get into, I want to get into more stuff that I want to clarify and apologize for, but I just want to say too, that the way that I was looking at it is, of course, you're like, yes, this is more money, but also people love this. When we did our last live show, people loved it. They're like,
and we had a blast.
Yeah. Do more of these. This was so much fun. Mm-hmm. We had a great time. It's something totally different. So it's kind of interesting. Never once when we were talking about it, and like I said, I'll clarify and apologize because we straight up did not think about a couple aspects, but not once did I actually think that anyone was going to be bummed about doing a $10 virtual show. It literally like did not cross my mind. And then I will get into why it was an issue. And I get why it was an issue. So anyway, that's kind of what was going on behind the scenes. And then we started talking to our network. We started trying to find a third-party platform to do the show through.
There's a lot of people and a lot of phone calls that have to go on behind it happening.
Yeah. And part of it was, and this is just exactly what happened. Part of it was so when we did the live show last time, we were in the studio with our network and we had a full team of people that was operating the live show. Mm-hmm. So we found it's like it was going to be kind of...
All right. So essentially doing a live show is not as easy as people think. And it requires extra, I hit a button because I've got a genius setup here where I go live, but I don't have multiple cameras, multiple microphones. It's challenging. Doing a live show is challenging. Even people that think they know what they're doing still have problems with it, so they couldn't pull it off. And they kind of just decided to scrap the idea of going live. And the biggest problem is that they didn't then tell their audience they'll change their plans. That's essentially the biggest problem there.
Started, talking about it, like where we were giving specific times and dates. We were like, okay, so it's not going to be live. It's going to be virtual. Like it's called a virtual show. We're not going to call it live.
Did not say that on the podcast, which in hindsight, I totally realized that we should.
Sorry,
we should have.
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out for a second.
In hindsight, we did not have this conversation on the podcast, which would have been good. Because
conversation would have been good to have on the podcast. They also mentioned that they didn't realize that the Chatty Bros, they were letting down the audience that invested in the Chatty Bros free episode. So I'm not even going to share that. But of course, that's, essentially, my comment section right now in the Patreon is listening and watching this with me. So if you want to see the behind the scenes of how we put these episodes together, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal, which today was a pretty good jam session, if you ask me. We got our heart rates going. We're doing like Zumba style dance moves over here. But anyway, so that's where people are just, saying, look, we get it, apologize. But it's one of those things, they've got to spend an hour apologizing because it won't be enough for certain people. And that's why sometimes people don't apologize in the first place, because it's like, you're not going to think any differently of me when I do apologize, because you're going to think I'm doing it at gunpoint. So I understand the dilemma they're caught in.
But the money will be getting refunded. So just FYI, that is coming.
Yeah.
If it has not already when this episode comes out.
There's also like processing times, like just, I would I think they said that sometimes the refunds can take, just please know that like the platform we're working with, they're the ones in charge of refunds. They told us it would happen. It can sometimes take up to 2 weeks for the processing time. So like, just please know that like, we're going to make sure that happens. They said it will happen. It might not be within like 24 hours.
All right. So they issued a full refund. And if you ask me, to be quite honest, I don't think they needed to do that. I think they could have offered a refund for people that wanted a refund. They probably lost tens of thousands of dollars on this.
Oh my God. And then off of that too, just like a side note, I want to apologize too, because
Final apology.
And it's like embarrassing to say, but I liked a comment that used a phrase referring to other listeners as, broke ass lames.
Broke ass lames.
And
it's so funny.
Like it's kind of ridiculous to say it out loud, but yeah, like and I don't like I immediately want to go into like, here's why I even liked that comment, whatever. That's not necessary. It's just like, I get how that feels, being someone who is validly frustrated. And then being like, oh my God. And then the person who is involved with this thing that made me feel frustrated and deceived is like liking something that's a direct insult to me. And so I want to apologize for that and say, I totally understand how that feels like a slap in the face.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Becca Martinez. It feels like a slap in the face to people. That's a real good way to put it. You know, someone had a concern and they felt like your response was flippant to that concern. Likewise, I understand how flippantly we like comments. Every once, I have to be very careful because, you know, I receive dozens of thousands of comments a day, and I do take pride in getting back to a decent number. I used to get back to all of them. I mean, I probably get back to maybe 5% of them now, which is a huge blessing because that means you guys are so awesome. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a situation where not everyone will ever be happy because of this, but let's read a few comments. So at what point did they know the show wasn't going to be able to be done live? Like, it just seems once they knew logistically it wasn't going to happen, they should have made it super clear that it was going to be a pre-recorded live stream, especially since they mentioned live stream on their pod when the idea was popped up. And of course, like, this is the type of litigation that they probably won't get into. I think they're just going to let their apology live. I think that it is done with. But if you look at their Instagram account, yeah, they called it exclusive virtual show. And then when they sold tickets for it, it was called a live stream in the ticket sales. But I think they tried to make an attempt to call it an exclusive virtual show. Anyway, without further ado, we have a segment on the channel we do when we need to sort of adjudicate a tough decision here. So Ref Dave is a character that comes out. I've been blessed with the opportunity to really present all sides of an argument. And I think a good amount of you appreciate where I'm coming with when I make my judgment. The question at hand is the Chatty Broad's apology for the Chatty fraud situation good enough for a majority of the audience? Ruling on the play, apology accepted. That's right, folks. On behalf of a community that I'm not a part of, I accept their apology. Listen, I think they're trying their best. I think they're learning as they go. And they might have learned last year not to, I don't know, slut shame. I'm just using an example. They might have learned not to slut shame somebody or tweet a certain thing or say a certain word. And they might have learned today to be real impeccable when they're selling a product to make sure they're delivering on the parameters of that product. We always go like, oh, so-and-so, they've been so problematic. They should have learned their lesson. Listen, right? That's what life's all about. That's why we're here. They're here to learn lessons like we all are. And our audience, for the most part, 99% of their audience is never in a position where they're being sort of prosecuted for every which turn they make. So we really can't understand what it's like to live under that microscope. And some will say, well, they receive so much money from us. We built them up that without us, they would be nothing, these types of things. And I just ask people to look into that ownership that you feel. And I understand fans feel that way. They feel an ownership. They feel a connection. I personally know with my channel, I've met some of the greatest people that I've ever met. I get messages, private Venmo donations, PayPals. words of encouragement, voice notes, boxes of pizza and cookies and presents, I could cry very quickly, tears of gratitude over all the amazing people that exist for no reason other than they somehow believe in what I've got going on. I can see them right now. Letters and notes of people that just think what I do, this silly thing that I do, is important in some way. Now, with all that gratitude aside, there's still going to be a group of people that feel ownership over what I do, that get upset if I go on a vacation or that do certain things. And you just have to understand that that's their thing they're working through. I have a brother that I want to help out with his art, and he hasn't really been sort of, or I'll put it this way, he's been reluctant to accept my help and my advice on what to do. And because of that, I felt a tinge of bitterness because I feel like, hey, you should let me help you. I'm trying to help you. And that's what happens, right? When you try to help others, you feel like ownership and bitterness if it's not received in the way that you want. And as fans, we feel the same way. We feel a sort of an ownership over someone. We want them to appreciate their success, but we also feel like it's because of us. And to a small extent, it is. For every single person that views one of my videos, I get like a penny, right? It adds up. Trust me. But you can't possibly appease every single person's penny. But what you can try to do is apologize when there's a sort of critical mass of people that are upset, and try to ignore it when it's something that's like ticky-tacky, because there's a lot of ticky-tacky stuff out there that makes people upset. And in order for someone like me to try to make my content and be authentic to who I am, I need to go out on the ledge. I need to take risks. I need to walk my balance beam. Will I fall over on either side? Absolutely. But you have to understand that there needs to be grace for those attempts. And their attempt was to just make some extra content they weren't planning to do. I'm sure in their eyes, they kind of saw it as a favor to their audience. And to a portion of their audience, they saw it as a slap in the face. Now they need to meet in the middle ground through this apology, and some people might not accept that. Let me know what you guys think about this. I can't imagine I'll make another video on it, but if anyone has a voicemail they want to leave and it's interesting enough, I'll make some content. 401-213-9828. We'll be doing a live stream as soon as we have the men of the Bachelorette announced. That might be today, that might be tomorrow. When it is announced, we will go live, so make sure to hit the alert button on our channel, like this video, preferably an odd number of times, and also don't forget, if you want to be a part of our work from home community, we do live streams today. It'll be about 5 hours worth of live streams. We're already in 78 minutes into this live stream, so if you want to watch the behind the scenes, it's wacky, it's fun, it's one of the best communities in the world. I might be biased, but I think they'll agree. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye, everybody.